Welcome to Laugh, Cry, or Die, a comedy disability podcast featuring Steve Wilbury, that's me, and Naomi Strain.
And that's me.
I've
Hello.
gone full morning jukebox guy,
Yeah.
radio man.
Well, yeah, proper morning radio. Go nice and cheesy.
Welcome to Drive Time with the Spaz Club.
And who's
We're
our
not
first
allowed to
caller?
drive because we're broken humans.
Yeah, we walk time.
Walk time. So for those of you joining us new to our podcast, Naomi is a queen of seizure disorders. I am the king of complex regional pain syndrome.
And together
Together,
we shall rule the world.
together we are the monarchs of disability. Although we are overseen by the emperor of people who have cancer. Because
Yes,
they win
they're
with
the ultimate overlords.
yeah, they win all the things.
And
Who
everyone
are
else are
co-emperors with
subjects.
paraplegics and tetraplegics. But we're still
Yes.
pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So in the game of Trumps, we're doing pretty well.
Doing all right, but at least we're not those cunts.
Yeah. Fuck them. You're dying and you're rubbish.
In case you can't tell, this podcast features slightly dark humor, where we
Very
call people
appropriate.
with cancer cunts.
Yeah, losers.
Wanga!
The ultimate losers.
Losing at being alive like a twat.
And that's all for today.
Good night, folks. We've been cancelled as of 45 seconds ago.
Yeah. So, Steve, how are you today?
Today, this morning I'm not too bad. I have had a real shitty run with my crips recently, and the omnipresent pain in my legs, like the toothache, never-ending, gnawing pain that keeps me awake at night and torments my every waking moment, is back with a vengeance.
Oh shit. So from your day-to-day normal pain, it's kicked off big time.
Yeah, when my pain's like reasonably well managed, this leg stuff
Mm.
will come in, like I'll have a bit of it like through the day, but it's not like always there. Whereas now I like wake up and my legs hurt and I go to sleep and my legs hurt, and it's just like the constancy
Right,
is
yeah.
really wearing at the minute. Um, and yeah, so when my pain gets really bad, my mental health goes down as well. Like chronic pain and depression are just like inextricably interlinked.
Yeah, of course.
And it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Is like, am I depressed because I have pain, or is my depression making my pain worse? And it's kind of this real weird cycle thing. And there's probably also some kind of like actual like physiological neurological component to it as well.
Yeah,
That's
like chemical releases of stuff. It's like
yeah.
when you have any kind of physical trauma, like an injury, it's exhausting because everything in you is going towards fighting that injury.
Mm,
So when you've got pain or depression going on, it's like what's firing where and what part of your body is trying to heal which.
mm.
Yeah.
And then also you get the cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which gets
Yeah.
released a lot, and then that makes everything else worse. And yeah, so I've had just real nasty depression and pain. And the thought that's been kind of popping into my head quite a lot recently is maybe I should just kill myself. And it's something that's how I can always tell my mental health is down, is because this thought just like pops into
It's
my
kind of
head.
a bit of a giveaway that the
Yeah.
depression might be rearing its head. Yeah. Hmm.
And it's not like an actionable thought. It's like I'm not like gonna go and do anything, but it's just like, I'd really rather just not.
Yes. Yeah, it's not so much of a wanting to be dead, but more of wanting to be away from the alive, if that
Mm,
makes sense.
it very much does. And I think that's part of, like with depression, sometimes you can like really sleep a lot.
Yeah.
And at the start, I noticed that I was like getting up and then going back to bed. And I was saying it was because my pain was getting worse, but is it because my depression's getting worse that I'm going back to sleep because I'm wanting to escape the unalive part? There's
Yeah.
like, it's such a ridiculously complex
Is So is that where your when your mental health is sliding a bit? Is that where you normally sort of go to the sort of suicidal ideation? Because I know some people like get real, I don't know, aggressive. Some people get really focused on like over houseworking things. Um, so yeah,
Um,
there's different coping, but do you generally go to it,
yeah, it's
that?
well, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's not really. I guess it would be ideation because it's just the idea popping into my head. I don't mull on it. It
Mm.
just pops in, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do something about that, and as in not kill myself. But like, like you
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
that's a clue. That's a major barometer, and I've been in this room long enough to know that when that painting is on the wall, I
mm.
should probably maybe not sleep so much during the day, get a bit more exercise, find some mushroom microdoses, and work my way through it.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in the middle of something though. You know those steps are going to, they're the healthiest steps to take, and it's really hard to take them because
Mm,
you're depressed.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And then they get annoyed because you know you're doing the right thing with the depressions. And there's again, it's just these really vicious feedback
Yeah,
cycles.
yeah. Now, I do think that it's not like say not necessarily suicidal ideation, but that thought. I was talking to another friend that in some way with chronic things, it's kind of a good thing. Hold with me. That when things are kind of shitty, like we've got and things are getting on top, and we can't get away from the chronicness and the
Mm,
constant issues. And so having that little fantasy of, oh, here's an escape that I could take, you're not going to take it,
mm.
but it's like, oh, things are manageable because I could get away if I wanted.
It's
And
like
it's
when
kind of like a little fantasy moment of like, instead of having a drink, you have a little fantasy of like, oh, I could just not be here if I so decided.
there's a fantastic internet comic meme that I saw, and it was like, "Do you want to escape the pain of everyday existence, but don't want to disappoint the people around you? Try void juice." And you drink it, and then this guy's like, "Just I'm vanishing into the void." It's
Or
just
like Kool-Aid kind of thing.
yeah, just poof,
Nice.
just gone. Just
But
yeah.
yeah, well, I do. I think it's not necessarily unhealthy to
Well,
no, I'm
there's
not
also
advocating suicide, but just think about it.
it's like when someone accuses you of like being a shitty person, right? Bear
Mm.
with me again. This is the tortured metaphor, but it gets there. So like when someone's like, "Oh, you've done X, Y, or Z wrong," and you know deep down that actually I you're the one being a dick. Um, that even though you know that you're in the right, just the fact that they've spoken it into being kind of opens up that possibility, you know?
Yes.
Then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
start doubting yourself and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's maybe similar with the thing of like that I could just kill myself and that there is an end. There's a path that's not this all the fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like a control thing
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
sense. It's like, everything else is out of our hands. We can
mm,
do that.
yeah, we could.
Fuck you all. That will prove you I am capable. I can do stuff. I'm really successful at unaliving myself.
Can you imagine though if you then failed to commit suicide, like if you fucked it up?
Do you know that has been in my like little fantasies of doing the whole this is enough kind of thing is if you failed, then you are then in the system as that person and you will
Um,
never get taken seriously for anything else. Like you go to the doctor for whatever, or if I get taken for
mm,
seizures, it's like first thing on your record is try to do that. And you're
try to
then in the
achieve the
system as
thing.
a mental person.
Yeah.
And it does overshadow. I mean, I'm not trying to it does overshadow other treatment. Like on one of my hospitalizations, and I had a real bad concussion. That's a long story in itself. But was taken into hospital, unable to, sort of coherently interact with them, and was stumbling all over the place. And I had at that point taken one morphine pill the night before and one
Mm,
in the morning because I had a broken ankle.
yeah.
Um, and they put it down as morphine overdose. And I was like, absolutely not, I'm not having this. And they went, oh, well, okay, but are we all good? And I was like, no, you changed that on my record.
Mm,
And they and a couple of other medical people said, yeah, if that's on your record, then yeah, they'll look at you differently. So it's not just, that little bit of paranoia. It's as soon as that's on your record, everything's then put down to, oh, it's psychological.
Well, that is, I mean,
You must be successful. Put enough
if
thought into it, get it right.
you're gonna do it, fucking don't fuck it up.
Yeah, don't fail at this as well, like everything else in your
Like
life.
everything else, your mother will just be as disappointed as she already is.
Can't even do this right.
Just so, Jimmy, see you're still alive today.
Do you want
Just like
another
your
go?
father.
Yeah, that, and if you get it a bit wrong, the after effects might not be ideal. Like
Mm,
if you went off a bridge,
yeah,
and what if you
yeah.
didn't do it and everything just got munted?
Well, that's what, luckily in New Zealand it's legal.
To jump off a bridge.
Yes, it is 100% legal to jump off as many bridges as you want, and everything, if you do that, will be great.
As long as you don't land.
As long as you don't
Do
land. Well,
not know how that
point
works. I am
is,
on pain medication today, so if I start nonsense talking, that is why.
as opposed to what?
Extremely serious, intelligent, genuine conversation like normal.
Oh, yes, that
Yeah.
totally happens.
Yeah. I just forget to record those bits. I only
Oh,
record the good bits.
lame.
Yeah. But when you said about suicide being legal, I thought,
No,
and
it's
I'm just lying
only
and making it up.
terminal illnesses, or if you're on
Oh,
like
like,
with 6 months or to live or is being given medication to end their life. Strict
right.
eligibility criteria. So you can't just like wander into the death booth and be like, I would like one unaliving, please.
Just fill in the multiple choice questionnaire.
Yeah. Do you
Get
want
it
to be
right.
dead? Yes. Cool.
Okay, bye bye.
Just well, because have you seen because in Switzerland where they're all about assisted unalives,
Mm, mm,
um, there's like a booth where they fill it with only nitrogen and it's like
mm.
completely painless. And you just keep breathing, but your oxygen levels just go lower and then you fall asleep.
So that's like when somebody's hot water boiler goes wrong and they just get sleepy and sleepy, like
Yeah.
carbon dioxide poisoning. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be the nicest way.
yeah.
Not
I
that
mean,
this is supposed to be a podcast about the best way to do it.
no, we're not
Because
supposed to be
for the
talking about
record,
that.
everybody, if everybody could avoid it, and please don't do it. We need the listeners, so please don't disappear.
Please, please, advertisers, we need you to stay. But I think it is an important part of the chronic journey that
Hmm,
like that thought probably will cross your mind at some point where you just become it feels it's the constancy that's
yeah,
the unbearableness of it.
yeah, yeah. And you can do all the things, but you can't get away from it. So with New Zealand, how do we apply? I'm not. That sounds wrong. What's the process over here? Do you know?
I don't know. Well, I've got so the service involves specific steps, medical assessments, and important safeguards. They are there to ensure the person is eligible and they are making a decision for themselves without pressure from anyone else. So no one's like, so Gran, you probably don't want to be around anymore. I mean, look at you, you're rubbish.
So it's not like when you can get someone sectioned. It's like, right, that's it. I'm going to get you euthanized.
Well, that was my big question. Have you thought about using the assisted dying service and can I have your stuff? That's not okay.
Yeah, you can have mine.
I don't want your stuff. It'll be
I've really
rubbish.
got fuck all. I've got
It'll be
nothing.
covered in spaz juice.
Most people think that's the only reason I've got rugs in my lounge is to hide all the bloodstains on the floor from seizure injuries, not from all the murders. I
See,
saved them for the garage where it's
so
easier to clean up.
would seizure blood be classified as spaz juice?
Yeah, I think so. That and drool and piss.
Right. What about vomit?
I don't think I've vomited during a
This is a
seizure.
really appealing podcast. People love this content. They are all about it.
You hear the grossness, and you because your face isn't right in front of us, you can have whatever expression and be as grossed out as you like, and it's fine.
Fine.
And I mean, I tend to bleed on things, I tend to pee on things, I tend to drool on things. I'm a bit like hurt child.
Like a
Emotional.
toddler.
Have the emotional range of a toddler.
drunk,
Yeah,
drunk, stumbling
I
and
was
drooling.
reading I was reading various things, about, obviously we do a lot of study into our own disorders, and about things that can happen during a seizure, and one of them is shitting yourself.
Hmm.
I have never done that. Good
You,
old me. I've never
you are
crapped
a
myself during a seizure.
fancy bitch.
I know, right? I've peed, and that's probably worse than like the drooling and the seizure and being in public and all the embarrassment that goes along with it.
Hmm.
Is peeing yourself is worse than anything.
I'm
That's
gonna
like,
argue,
mm,
professionally speaking,
mm.
shitting yourself is worse.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, out of the
Out
things
of
that I
in
do,
your oeuvre,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. In
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 my
my bag of
oeuvre,
tricks.
I've never pissed myself, but I have shat myself. So there you go.
Oh,
Together, we're
between us,
fully incontinent.
fully incontinent, but also we're fully continent between us. We could take it in
Yeah, there you
turns.
go.
Who's going to
There you
have
go. We
the?
can see.
It's my week with the continents.
No, I've got meeting on Tuesday. I need to be continent. You can have it on Thursday.
Yeah, stop leaving me on red on Messenger. I need the continents. It's urgent. But yeah.
Really like
So
the
you're
idea.
saying from a medical point of view, do you think shit's worse? But which is worse, shit or vomit?
Depends how
Is it
drunk I am.
quantity? Would quantity affect it? Like a bit of shit or a lot of vomit, or a lot of shit and a bit of vomit?
You like your own or where? This is
Oh.
really in the weeds. For the record, I'm sorry, dear listeners, but if you are a person who deals with this stuff, you'll be with it.
Yeah,
So the winner, I still think shitting yourself is the worst.
shitting yourself. Yeah, if it's your own issues, I would
If it's
rather
your
throw up
because
than
like
shit.
you spend almost the entirety of your life working very hard to not shit yourself. And when you do, it's basically the ultimate failure that I
Can
have failed to
I,
maintain the barest minimum of human behavior.
I just need to call you out. You say you spend most of your adult life trying not to shit yourself. You do. I think most people just don't shit themselves. I don't think people are trying really hard not to. I think the majority of people just have a poo when they need a poo. They're not spending all day going, don't shit yourself. Come on, you can do it. Just don't shit yourself.
I've got like I've got a motivational poster above my desk and it just says like don't shit yourself because it needs that constantly. And no, I don't do that actually. But when my pouchitis is really bad, I can't have like nighttime stuff. And when I had ulcerative colitis when I was younger, I did have a couple of episodes. Although,
Yeah.
you know, it's even worse, and this is gonna if you've come down the grossness trail of this episode, because we've started at suicide, now we're on shitting yourself. We're really selling the highlights of being disabled here. So I'm gonna say two words and let you sit for a moment, right? Fecal vomiting.
Oh, yeah.
So when your intestines tear
Mm.
and nothing can get out, it comes back up the way.
So as it's turning from food to shit, it
Now,
reverses.
I didn't have a large intestine at this point, so it wasn't like a turd came out of my mouth, but like it wasn't like a
Okay.
just like
I would play that video footage in reverse. It's Steve eating shit. It's too early in the morning for this.
Oh, my laughs have gone hypersonic.
Okay. Oh, it's so childish. The most basic of humor, and it's making me cry.
But I think that it speaks to the power of it because it is just like that's not how that's supposed to be. Humor is absurdity, and you're not supposed to poo out your mouth. It's just not the way things are done.
That's hideous.
I
So,
don't
so,
get now. I don't have a clear memory of this because I was actively dying at the time and was on
mm,
rather a lot of medication.
yeah,
But they did end up putting in what's called an NG tube, where they have to go up your nose and then
yeah,
down your throat to drain everything out.
yeah. They're
And
nasty.
really, it made me feel so much sympathy with every girlfriend I've ever had who's needed to choke on my enormous cock.
Of
Um,
course, yeah.
yes, because it is basically a table leg.
Your enormous tube-like cock that goes up their nose. Poor girls. See, that's why I feel sorry for them because you're bad at that. If you're doing it like that, you ain't good at sex.
Yeah, just let me fuck your nose. Oh, that's actually a line in Meet the Feebles made by famed New Zealand auteur uh, Peter Jackson, which is if you've not seen Meet the Feebles, it's like an R-rated Muppet movie. And there's a bit where they're like doing some dungeon scene, and there's this guy with a big nose, and there's like loads of snot, and he's like, and then the director's like, I don't know if the world's ready for nasal porn.
Right, I've not watched that. I
It's
may have
insane.
to
You
try that.
should. You should. Next time you're really whacked out with a concussion, watch that.
Okay.
You
Yeah, give
will.
me a couple of weeks. I'll have another one.
It'll be fine. I can come give you one now if you want.
Yeah. Well, I've had what five this year, I think. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I have traumatic brain injuries.
Every time. See, you know how like with boxers, how they get like punch drunk and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the next concussion could be a big one. That could happen with me. I've had so many
Hmm.
through my life. It's like,
You're
who
gonna look
knows?
like Muhammad Ali when you're 80.
I mean, I'm already not far off that, but I'm not gonna make it to 80. Don't be an idiot.
Well, what do you think you'll make it to?
Well, talking about suicidal ideation, I've kind of put a time limit on myself
Hmm.
of 50.
Right.
I'm not massively far away from that. Because I mean, who knows what will happen when I actually get there, but I can't picture myself being an old person living this life,
Hmm.
being that spaz that's St. John are always turning up to and picking me off the floor.
For
Can you
another
imagine
40
being
years.
yeah, like I'm, sort of mid 40s now, and it's mid, it's not late, it's currently still mid. Um, Imagine if I was 80
It's
and
like a
I'm
comedy.
still, I can't picture this.
Getting, like being, because I mean, the other thing is, fuck, this is a grim episode anyway, but like, your heart's gonna fucking give out
Yeah,
before you get to like if an 80-year-old had an hour and a half of a 210 heart rate, they would just fucking cark it. Like
yeah,
eventually your body's just gonna be like, oh hell no.
yeah. So from the physical toll of the actual seizure,
Hmm,
the physical toll of injuries,
hmm.
the pumping me full of drugs regularly, you know, all of that is life limiting at some point.
So really what I'm hearing is I'm going to outlive you, so
Mhm.
can I have your stuff?
Yes, you can.
I'm going to consider that a bond.
Well, see, I'm trying to think what you would actually gain
I'll get your
because,
house.
we'll see. My house will be with my family. I'm afraid that has to
No,
go
but
that
that's
way.
your stuff, Nam. I don't want your shit. I want your stuff.
You can have the house, Steve. You can't have my house.
Well, fine, then you don't get to die, and you have to do this podcast to tell you're 80.
I'll get another house. No, see, no, that will be my family. But I do have, um, I'll save my money in a coin jar. You can have that.
Can I have your
You
vapes?
can have the food in my cupboard.
Oh, I can have your tequila.
You can have my tequila, and
Got
you
some
can
nice
have my
spoons.
clothes.
They fit me so well.
You know, my clothes, my shoes, and my motorbike. Yeah, let's quote
Uh,
from too long ago.
I showed my son that movie recently, and it fucking slaps still.
Certain films do, eh?
We watched The Abyss again as well, which
Oh,
was
really?
such a good. That really holds up as well. Like it was a hell of a movie. And then I was watched a thing about how they made it,
Yeah.
and like fuck, they would be underwater in these. So they had to find the biggest tank they could, and they used an unfinished nuclear power station that got
Yeah.
abandoned, and then filled that with water,
No
and then
way.
covered it with tarp and black balls to make it um black, so they could make it look like it was the bottom of the ocean. And yeah,
I'm gonna have to rewatch that because that sounds cool.
it's really like apparent they were spending, 10, 12 hours a day in the water, the crew and stuff. And they would have to do really lengthy decompression dives.
Yeah.
And um because it was so long ago, the communications were really shitty. Like you would actually quite enjoy it because you like the diving. But yeah, just look up the making of the Abyss. It was hell. Everyone hated it.
Fantastic. Now, see, I because of the diving thing, when I watch underwater stuff, I obviously I can't help but look at all the errors with any kind of diving thing.
Mm,
But when there's something that's kind of done well, or when there's some sort of trauma happening
mm,
underwater, I man, it stresses me out. Like there's a film, I don't know if you've seen it, Sanctum, and it's kind of like almost goes Indiana Jones diving. So,
mm,
but they go on a cave exploration. But there's one part of it where they've got full face
mm,
masks, and one of them fails. So it's him and his buddy. They're face to face, and he can breathe and she can't. And so they do buddy breathing. So he takes a
mm,
breath and then passes it to her, and she takes a breath, and then she starts panicking and starts to grab it. And to
mm,
keep safe, he has to keep it on him and kind of distance a bit from her,
mm,
and kind of watches her die, like drown in front of him. And fuck, it's done so well. That
mm,
entire scene, I couldn't literally breathe myself. I just
mm,
was frozen watching it. And it's relatively near the start of the film. And me and my ex, who we used to be dive buddies, we were both watching it, at the cinema. And after that scene, we kind of just looked at each other and it was like, fuck, we were exhausted with that small
mm,
scene. But yeah, watching underwater stuff gets me so tense. And I
mm.
think obviously because my sort of history and getting my dive injury, it kind of makes it worse. But because you understand what that panic underwater feels like. So I either love a diving film or I really fucking hate it.
So what I'm thinking is following on from the Abyss. So in the Abyss, when they came up really fast, the aliens, spoiler alert, the aliens stopped them having a decompression sickness. So because one of your seizure disorders comes from the bends, if we go find the NTIs at the bottom of the ocean, they can cure your disease.
Let's do it.
Let's get the guys that made that Titanic sub that imploded and go
Chuck me
get another
down to
one
the
of them.
bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
Do you
just
want to come?
yeah, right. I'm like,
We can go on
ah,
a spazpedition.
a expedition.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should hire a cruise boat and then sell tickets to spazpeditions, and it's cruises just for spazzes.
Yeah. We
And
were going to
all,
do a cruise. Do you remember we were going to do a cruise?
oh, that was the great plan, is that I wanted to sail you to a legal medical cannabis
Yeah.
destination.
So that was before it was more easy access. And I mean, I don't, I know that you do, but I don't use cannabis.
No,
But at
you
one point
said
we
you've
were going
tried
to
your
give it a go.
stuff.
But yeah, all because I can't fly. That was our option, wasn't it? The
Hmm.
only way is if we go on a cruise. Of course.
But yeah, you're stuck in this country. You
Fucking don't tell me about it.
that's
Oh,
that's crazy that you cannot get on a plane.
I know. I mean, I could quite literally wing it and just
Uh,
have it fingers crossed,
hmm.
like I could physically and technically, no one's stopping me, but the ramifications are terrible.
Would you like if you went on a plane and had a seizure and they had to divert the plane, would like you get like fined?
You'd be kind of responsible for any claims because if it was just like you and you had a seizure
Hmm.
on a plane, it's like, oh, medical events, that's dealt with through insurance and everything.
Hmm.
But because I know
Right.
that the chances are high, um, insurance would be they
Option.
would be responsible basically for paying any claims made against the airline.
There, you could get insurance, but it would cost you like literally hundreds of thousands. Not.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they just won't. They won't touch me because I'm too much of a risk.
I'd find a guy. I know a
Well,
gambler.
we'll see. So yeah, I could get on the plane, and you can travel without insurance, but it
You'd
would
be
be
fucked.
ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it's annoying.
No.
So I'll fly domestic because if I had one in the air and they had to land, they would be landing at the next airport anyway.
Yeah, which is fair, which is like reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to
Yeah.
mess
So
too much up.
it's no biggie. So, they can deal with that. But international, and as well, say if I had a seizure and I don't know, got stranded in Hong Kong or or something like that
Mm.
with no insurance. Just yeah. Yeah. Screw this
So
world.
cruise ship it is.
Yeah,
Even
I think
then,
so.
though, if you had an hour and a half seizure, they would have to
Well, they
get a
have medics. They have
heli.
proper actual medics on board on because they deal with people dying on cruise ships.
Yeah, but like, would they have the 90-minute seizure drugs?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, it's a pretty normal sedative, and I think with cruise guys as well because that's proper medical people.
Yeah, they have like
Um,
actual doctors.
yeah, yeah, and so you could say make sure you got a bunch of that, bunch of Midas on board. You can knock me out. So yeah, so I mean it would be safer. They,
Yeah.
especially if they you sort of knew your history and you chatted with them beforehand, it wouldn't be as
Mm.
urgent or drastic. Like if you injured yourself, they'd be able to look after you and that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean, I did even at one point when I was looking at different ways of traveling. It used to be, and they've stopped it now because of bloody COVID. But you could get a place on a cargo ship, and they would take
Oh yeah.
up to sort of 12 passengers, but you wouldn't be working, but you'd be living as the crew. So in crew quarters, you'd be eating crew meals. So it's
Mm.
not a cruise, you just happen to be on a ship.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought, well, that could be an option because that's not flash, that's not fancy. And
Mm.
they do, sort of all around the world, these cargo ships. But the price of it was more than going on a cruise.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, the guy was absolutely mental. Like I messaged him going like, "Hey, I found you do this thing."
Yeah.
And he sent me the biggest email back with about how COVID put a stop to a lot of stuff and they can't do this.
Yeah.
But man, it was like full on conspiracy about how the government have destroyed their business.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, and yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not on that boat with the crazy people, the crazy people boat.
So, traveling on a cargo ship would be more rubbish.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as much fun in the usual sense, but it'd be kind of cool, I think, if
Maybe.
you're not actually working. I mean, like you could probably say, "Hey, can I help scrub the decks?" I don't know what they do on cargo ships. I think I'm thinking pirates, but I think it could be an interesting thing to see. And I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
those cargo ships are fucking massive. Like, when you're on, like, say, when you're on port, I'm
Mm,
using nautical terms. When you're on port and you're looking at ships, they look bloody huge, right?
mm,
When I dived in the English Channel, and so we're diving a lot of the Normandy shipwrecks, and so you're in basically one of the busiest shipping lanes there are.
mm,
And so when you're in the sea and you're literally just your head poking out of the sea and you're waiting for your boat to come and pick you up. And we were diving off this old fishing trawler that had been converted into a dive boat. So it was real rough,
mm,
proper, hardcore diving. It was great. And so you're waiting for your chunky boat to come and get you. And that heading towards your head is pretty scary.
mm,
But when you look to, the left and right of you, and you see these huge shipping containers that are probably still very far away from you
mm,
because everyone knows where everyone is, but you feel so, so tiny
mm.
that you're literally at the bottom, at sea level, literally looking up at these huge containers that are stacked however many measurements high. I can't even give a frame reference of
Many
measurements,
lots.
many lots of height. And yeah, so there, if you imagine being on one, that could be quite an adventure.
Mm.
That
No,
could
it'd
be
be cool. I could see it being fun.
so
In
you
it
get
in
to
its
sing sea shanties.
and murder tourists.
Yeah, have a little bit of a go at being a pirate, scrub the deck, sing a shanty, climb up a what's
I
the
could,
bit where the sail goes up, the
yeah,
sail
but
pole,
like
the mast, sit in a
a
crow's
cruise
nest.
ship, you couldn't, it would be difficult to get well, it'd be difficult to get a cruise from, like, say, New Zealand to South Africa, or like Chile, or like, all the fucking way around the world without it costing you an actual arm and
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah, there's no way. It's not like you can hitchhike.
I don't know, but you could give it a go.
It's
Giant
transportation.
inflatable thumb.
We just need to be able to teleport. That's kind of the future has to deal with that, please.
So you would like to so what I'm hearing as we finish up today's depressingly gross episode is that we should invent teleportation so Naomi can leave this tiny island nation.
And that kind of ties in nicely with the suicidal ideation. One way
There
or
you
another,
go.
we can leave.
We can leave. Yeah, it
Yeah.
might not be through the physical door, might be through the metaphysical realm of the hereafter.
The options are open.
Lots of ways to go to the other place. Might be Singapore, might be death.
Yeah, whatever that entails.
I've been watching The Good Place.
Oh, that's so good.
Really good show, all about death. Wow,
I
what a
love
great
it.
episode. This is, if you have listened to this entire thing, you have strong intestinal fortitude, and I salute you.
Yeah, that I think the grossness is part of it, and the negative thinking is part of it, and that's part of why we do what we do.
Yeah, so if you're gross and thinking badly stuff, you're not alone. So yeah, maybe next week we'll do something slightly less horrific, just as a
Yeah,
change of pace.
because there is fun stuff. We'll
There is.
all find it.
We'll
We'll
find.
dig. Depending on how the week goes, we
Yeah.
might not be here.
You know what I'm gonna do when you do die? I'm gonna train up an AI using your voice so I can keep it going.
Can you do that anyway? I would like to meet whatever that came out like.
It would be dumb.
Yeah, it would
They're not.
be. It'd be
I'll,
very accurate then.
I'd be like, hey, let's talk about poop. And like, I cannot talk about poop. It's too gross. Violates my user terms.
Yeah, I think it would sound exactly like that as well with the developments of technology. That's how they sound. They
It's
still
totally how
sound
they sound.
like robots.
Stephen Hawking sounded like that his whole fucking life.
True.
But he
See,
did
he's
choose
proof.
it.
Stephen Hawkins is proof that there is no afterlife. He would have found a way to tell us if there was.
What, with his voice and his hands that work?
With all the science.
Because he does science and math. He's doing the
Science.
crazy.
It's like that kind of is to like how your magician stuff. It's like a magic. So with science, he would have found a way. There's no way he'd have gone, I'm not telling them about this. He'd have worked out a thing and
Yeah, but
told
like,
us.
I think he would have said "fucking losers," and then just like motored it off into
And
whatever
ran
select.
around with his space legs.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Why do I even want to think about the time when my body didn't function? I'm gonna
True.
be future spaceman."
Yeah. Run around with my space legs, shagging my space birds, having a lovely time. I'm sure
It,
that's his priorities. His priorities might just be going for a walk and having a cup of tea.
and
But
then having a shag.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Stephen
that is
Hawking
the
has
end of the
legs.
episode. Let's please God make it stop. Been silly.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
right, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.